Hello? Hello everyone. How's your evening? How's your morning? For people now who's in Singapore, Central Asia, and the Caucasus, you are right now having your evening time with us. And for people who are in the United States, good morning. You just started your day. So thank you all for joining us. So yes, you are right. Now today we are going to connect from Asia to North America because of a very special guest joining us very soon from the United States. Right. So for those who are the first time join this talk events, my name is Jenny. I'm the Vice President of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, Central Asia and the Caucasus Alumni Charter. So together with our team, we initiate these alumni talks on a weekly regular base with the purpose to connect our alumni, students, and the public audience in general. Because we have such a very diverse body of the alumni, so we would like to also to share their experience, not only at their study, but the work and in life in general. And of course, we are representing Central Asia and the Caucasus region. We hope through our talk, so we can also tell our audience this kind of regional potentials, regional opportunities, for us. So yeah, so I'm very excited about this. So we started in September month. This is a very new Instagram account. So we do need your support. Please subscribe us at Instagram at LKYSPP CAC. All right, so what we have done so far, the first week, I invited our alum guest from Kazakhstan, Yernar. He graduated from our Master of Public Policy MPP program. He taught a lot about after graduation, went back to Kazakhstan and how he applied his learning with public policy into private sector and public sector. And now he's heading one of the very big international private companies and doing the policy advisory works. The second week, we invited Temirbek from Kyrgyzstan. So he graduated at LKYSPP MPA program, which stands for Master of Public Administration, Master of Public Administration, because I graduated from MPA this year. I'm also from Kyrgyzstan. Temirbek, he shared about how he's using this public leadership. So from the business, he worked in business associations for the government, and very importantly, now he's running for the national parliament election. So this is really fascinating. So if you are still interested in our previous talk, all the videos are recorded at our Instagram account. So you can definitely go back and share with your friends. Please do so. And this week, we are welcoming another incredible alum speaker. His name is Khasan Redjaboev from Uzbekistan. Why he's special? Because he have a double master's degree. It's incredible. He graduated from LKYSPP MPP program in Singapore, plus meanwhile, the SciencesPo University in France, which is MPA program, back in 2014 to 2016. So guys, you are going to talk to this person who make a double dual degrees in both Singapore and in France. So at present, Khasan is PhD student in the Department of Political Science at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in the United States. All right, so double degree degrees, now the PhD, super, right? Not only is his educational background impressive, but also his extensive work experience with the international organizations and research institutes in countries such as Singapore, Japan, Europe, Russia, and now America. But few people may know, before Khasan joined our LKYSPP study, he was an entrepreneur. So in Uzbekistan, Khasan helped found this Westminster International University in Tashkent. Wow. So hosting a talk with such a speaker, with such a background, indeed is very challenging. I'll do my best. So I hope you please stay with us. You can give your questions at any time during our talks. So this is going to be within 45 to an hour, depends on the interest of the audience. And I try to address your question to our speaker. All right. So guys, now let's welcome our most expected guest, Khasan. Request. Let's wait. Now in the United States, it's 7 a.m. Hello, Khasan.
Hi, Jenny.
Applauding.
Nice. Yeah. That's fun. Yeah.
We're very expected you're coming. Thank you so much for making this effort. I know it's very early morning at your side, 7 a.m.
Yeah, it is 7.
All right. Are you such a early bird person? You get up early morning, or because you're PhD, you must have a lot of work to do. You stay till midnight?
Yeah, I think PhD life is not really fixed. So in a sense, we have a lot of overnight work to do as well. But normally I try to wake up early, but not that early, obviously, not 7 a.m. by Saturdays, but typically around that time in weekdays.
Thank you so much for supporting our Central Asia and the Caucasus.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. And thank you for your very lavish introduction. I think you really said it all. It's just, yeah. Although I did not really, I didn't do anything to help found Westminster International University. I worked there as an employee for 3 years, but those were quite important 3 years in my life. So an amazing institution, and I hope we can capture that briefly as well.
Right, we'll definitely gonna go to that place. So Khasan, before starting our talk, I want to share some kind of secret conversation with some other alum about you. Can I?
Sure. Yeah, please.
So there's alum, he comment like, oh, Khasan is coming to the talk, and the direct quote is, Khasan is Khasan. I said, what do you mean Khasan is Khasan?
Yeah.
So some alumni said,
that would be fun to find out.
Khasan has his very own unique way of talk and his jokes.
Okay, yeah.
And I said, oh, thank you, God, because I thought interviewing a PhD student, it must be very serious. I'm glad that you can make jokes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's an interesting comment. A lot of mystery right there. But yeah, I'll take it as positive, but thank you very much. Yeah,
thank you so much. And how about your family? Now you are in America.
Yep.
But you're originally from Uzbekistan. How about your family now?
Yeah, I'm from Uzbekistan, still am, obviously, and so my citizenship is in Uzbekistan and only in Uzbekistan. My entire family, extended family members, they all live in Uzbekistan. I'm here with my spouse. We've been here together for a year now, but overall it has been essentially 2 years. Now it's a 3rd year since I'm in the United States. But her parents, her brother, and my brother and my parents, my brother's wife and son, they all live in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent. Yeah, and all extended members. So essentially, we're pretty much tied in to Uzbekistan. Yeah, everyone is there.
Do you often visit Central Asia, Uzbekistan on a regular basis?
We used to.
Before pandemic.
Yeah. Again, just like you already captured that pandemic situation, which has really disrupted everything around the world. I used to travel a lot to Central Asia. I try to visit at least once or twice a year. Normally, obviously, the United States is a bit further from all the other locations I've been to previously, in a sense that it takes more effort to reach Uzbekistan. But at least once a year for sure is what we do normally. Unfortunately, we missed the summer again because of the pandemic situation, but we're looking toward next summer. We really want to, visit our home country next summer. Yeah.
Right. That's very lovely. So Khasan, in the end of introducing your biography, I told maybe not so many people know you actually had an entrepreneur business background, And you also mentioned
Yeah.
about the Westminster International University, because I myself am an educator. And very the reason for me coming to Lee Kuan Yew School, I want to really be specialized in education policy, how to apply the technology and public policy to transform the educations. And last year I went to Tashkent. I personally visited Westminster International University. So I definitely wanted to start from this right now. So could you please tell a little bit about your background before joining LKYSPP and about this university?
Yeah, sure. So what happened is that I got admitted into university in 2006, bachelor's degree. In that time, Westminster International University in Tashkent was the only international university, definitely in my country, in Uzbekistan. It had very good education, all centered around English language. It was very autonomous. So, and back in 2006, that was a very, very big difference from, shall I say, as a typical or standardized higher education institutions in Uzbekistan, in a sense that there was a lot of student autonomy, there was an independent student body, there were international like lecturers, teachers, teaching assistants who were really trying to bring in some, shall I say again, westernized experiences. It was also more student-centered. You had modular system. So it was a very good education. It was very engaging, a lot of independence from the side of people. We had many international students. So that was quite an experience. And then I graduated in 2010 with a Bachelor's of Arts in Business Administration. And Business Administration too in Uzbekistan, it was kind of sort of a path-breaking degree. So Uzbekistan previously did not have business administration degrees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were things similar to that here and there, but there was not really a full-fledged program. And that was a program which really captured my interest because I was interested in many different things, and business administration was designed in such a way that you could technically study a little bit of finance, a little bit of economics, maybe some law, and then core business administration subjects. So I graduated in 2010. By that time, I and my course mates, we co-founded a business enterprise. We named it Summer Camp, Summer Educational Camp, West Camp. And then we did that business. We started it with the support of several partners, including our alma mater, Westminster International University itself. So the administration was very supportive. They supported us, and we founded, technically, it may not be de facto truth, but in the era, essentially, we founded the nation's first private summer camp, educational. There were different camps before us, but this was the first fully founded, in a sense that paying taxes, everything is registered. And it went well. First year was very difficult. Second year was difficult too. But since then, it has been operating quite well. So I helped to co-found that institution. It went well as a social enterprise. Then we started adding a little bit other functionalities into educational enterprise. We founded a language school centered around teaching English as a second language to essentially school children. And then started expanding from there, essentially. But it was really centered around language experiences. At the same time, I started my career at the Westminster International University itself. So I was invited to apply to the marketing department, which I did. And along the way, I was invited to try as a teaching assistant, which I did as well. And that kind of got my interest into education. I never planned to do it before that. But then I worked overall for 3 years at this institution. It was really interesting in regards of educational policy. Again, it was quite autonomous. So there was no this ministerial oversight in a sense that Ministry of Higher Education didn't come to check, didn't come to regulate. And I think this is one of the best reasons essentially why Westminster International University produced so many successful, essentially, graduates. Because we have a lot of graduates who are obviously far more successful than I am. And a lot of them, men and women, they work in public services, in businesses. They founded amazing big businesses. So some of them are all around the world working in major companies. And I think the core reason is that we didn't have governmental regulation, and people were very, very autonomous. And I think it really resulted in some fascinating outcomes. So after that, what happened is here and there, I worked a little bit with the United Nations Development Program, United Nations Joint Program on RLC, and then Center for Economic Research. Back then it was called. I had a very small stint with them as a research associate, and some other business practices overall, working for some other people. That was interesting as well. And in 2013, essentially, I applied for a master's degree. I was first admitted to SciencesPo in Paris. And that was an interesting experience in the sense that having a European perspective of public affairs. I really wanted to pursue my degree in public policy and public affairs.
Wait a second,
yeah.
Hassan, just for this. So you've been like helping to establishing this Westminster International University. For audience who don't know about this, it is like now in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent. It is a dual, I think, degree. They have Uzbekistan and the UK, right? Diploma is recognized.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is.
But I want to be very clear. I want to be very clear here again that I did not help to found Westminster International University.
Team.
I just worked there.
The team. All right.
I was just one of the employees. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You're not just say hi, Hassan, and the
hi, Yernalike. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. So after this working experience, and what really made you mind like you want to do public policy? Because as people have business study, right, they may think about like working in the finance or any kind of like a company. So what made you mind to apply for public policy specifically?
Well, there were that's a good question. There were a few reasons. I think the biggest reason was that essentially I was always kind of driven to more what some people say generalism or generalist approach. So I was interested in many different things at once. Originally, I wanted to pursue always law degree, but back then situation in Uzbekistan was extraordinarily difficult. It's still unfortunately difficult in terms of higher education because only around 10 to 11% of the applicants can pursue higher education degree. That's really bad because it means there's a huge shortage. There's a deficit of higher education supply. And back then situation was much worse. And at the same time, corruption was very rampant. It's still a huge problem. It's still an amazing problem in Uzbekistan. There needs to be a lot of work done. But back then, higher education applications were much worse. And the only proper way for me to pursue like honest application into education and possibly securing scholarship was applying to a foreign education institution because it was very independent and it was known to be honest. So that was a driving cause. And obviously it made me think a lot. I was also in student government. That also kind of caught my interest in public service. For 2 years, I was in the students' government. I helped to write Students' Union Constitution at Westminster International University in Tashkent, which I believe may be still working. And initially, these were all very interesting things. Then I had some role models who were very interesting. Some of my professors, definitely rector of Westminster International University in Tashkent back then, Dr. Abdulwahitov, he also really made me interested in public service. So, and these things kind of boiled over time. I kept reading, so subscribing to some magazines like The Economist, along with Harvard Business Review. That really caught my interest that there may be an area where you can really kind of join them together, like social enterprise, some social causes, but plus some public service.
That's awesome. Thank you for your elaboration. So let's continue. Then you applied for the SciencesPo, which is located in Paris, right? For the MPA
That's right. Program. Yeah. I actually applied, like many people do, I believe, into multiple universities. I applied in multiple universities. In fact, I made 9 applications. Out of them all, SciencesPo was the only institution that offered me full scholarship. So the choice was super clear for me. Essentially only SciencesPo or no education at all. And then I decided to go ahead and join SciencesPo's MPA degree, Master of Public Affairs, all in English. I don't speak French, unfortunately. People keep asking, and that's one of those embarrassing moments. I need to, at some point, commit in French. So everything was in English. I went to Paris. There were amazing people from all around the world. I believe, I may be wrong, but I think 20 plus countries for sure, around 30 students, and a lot of people with like amazing backgrounds in terms of working experiences, men and women from all around the world. Very, very inspiring. And whilst I kept studying, basically, there was an option to pursue a double degree, essentially. Dual degree option or double degree option, as it's known in some other institutions, because SciencesPo belongs to the same network of institutions as Lee Kuan Yew School, globally known as Global Public
What is
Policy
that
Network
network?
School.
Is this a global public policy network, like GPPN? Okay.
Exactly, exactly. That's the one. And
Right.
so what?
For
Yeah.
our public audience, GPPN is Global Public Policy Network. It
Mm-hmm.
is very well known for people like who's doing public policy. I believe there are like 8 universities, the School of Public
Mm-hmm.
Policy from all over the world, from the US, from Japan and Europe. And in Singapore is exactly our Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. They're all in one. So because of this network, every year our students, we have the opportunity to do some public policy competitions, case study works, internship. And this one you just mentioned, they also provide the dual degree opportunity. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, I think you really summarized it super well. So there was an option. It was announced that by the end of first semester, if you have certain, I think very, very achievable normal threshold of grades, which is not that difficult to do, and then you need to do internal process of application, write some essays, and then you may pursue an option of dual degree. So I applied into Lee Kuan Yew School, Columbia, and LSE. I was accepted at tentatively waitlist at Columbia, and then I was accepted to Lee Kuan Yew School, which was I think the most challenging interview, the only interview as well. So it was a very challenging process in terms of having a case study done. So it was quite interesting, to be honest, quite an experience. And so out of basically this 2 offers, Lee Kuan Yew School was the only proper full offer with scholarship, and it was very clear it was not a wait list. So I decided to come and join Lee Kuan Yew School in Singapore in 2015. And I thought like that would give me perspectives from both Asia and Europe. And
that sounds amazing.
It never went wrong. I think I was very, very lucky, very privileged. I'm very super grateful to all the people who funded my education. It was amazing. Yeah.
So Hassan, just give us a little bit, because in Paris you are making you were studying MPA, and in Lee Kuan Yew School you were studying MPP, and you were studying like at 2 universities at the same time. You finished within 2 years.
That's right. So things were organized asynchronously, as we say it. So essentially what happened is, so first year you spend in your original host institution. In my case, that was SciencesPo in Paris. So I spent a year with 2 semesters. After my second semester, I interned in Paris in an international organization. And then since I was already accepted by the end of my, by the beginning of my second semester, I knew that I was going to Singapore. So then I went to Singapore for my second year of studies. And since 2 institutions have different requirements in terms of, for example, credits, at SciencesPo, you were required to take 6 modules a semester. In Singapore back then, at LKY school, it was around, I believe, 3 to 4 credits, which I think is much more manageable, proper workload, because I think 6 is perhaps sometimes is a bit too much. You cannot really delve very deeply into it. So then I went to join LKY school, but again, I was requested to take 6 modules a semester. The reason being, we needed to satisfy requirements of both institutions.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot, but also it kind of helps also to get exposed to a lot of different areas. So I was very interested and captivated by public health policy. So I tried to do more on public health and development courses. And I think it's fair to say that both institutions, SciencesPo and LKY School, are quite well placed to deliver courses on public policy and essentially public health as well. So it was a good experience. And then at the end of the second year at LKY school, if you satisfy and deliver all the courses as required, at the end, you will be issued 2 degrees from an original institution and the institution you join. So people join different institutions. Again, as you said, there's a global public policy network. There are several schools. People may pursue their dual degree in different types of institutions. And at the end of their second years, essentially, if everything is fine, then 2 degrees would be issued.
Wow. What can I say? You're incredible. Because for a lot of people, even just having 1 master's degree is a lot. So while you are so busy within 2 years, accomplishing these 2 degrees in 2 countries, did you really have any time to explore Singapore back in that time? Did you have party time?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of opportunities to travel, and we surely took it. For me, one of the reasons was that, so again, back then, Uzbekistan was a lot more challenging than it's now. It's still, for many people, it has a lot of challenges to cope. But back then it was very restricted. Travel was very difficult. People required special permits, what we called exit permit to travel. It's a Soviet legacy. Very humiliating process. Essentially, every year you were supposed to go and then apply for a special permit if you wish to travel, and then that would be issued for only 2 years. So it was quite difficult, and everything was much more expensive because, again, country is double landlocked, and there were a lot other political economy reasons to make people's lives difficult in terms of travel. So obviously I was very hungry to see the world. So maybe looking back, I would say I traveled maybe a bit too much as a student. Maybe ideally I should have studied even more. I kind of get this value looking back in time, but I was very, very hungry to see the world. So I took every possible opportunity to explore the world from both Paris and Singapore. Well, good lucky side of it is that both Paris and Singapore are travel hubs in a sense. They have amazing international, I would say, infrastructures for whatever, for airplanes, for obviously not trains in Singapore, but trains in Paris are really good. Bus services are good in both Singapore and in essentially Paris in France. So it was very good in terms of financial investments. It was very cheap to travel, and it's a good quality travel both in Europe and I would say in Southeast Asia, which is incredibly affordable compared to Europe, obviously. So in that regard, I took every opportunity. And I think it's also good to mention right here that all institutions at GPPN, in one way or another, offer formal travel opportunities or external research work for case studies or capstone consultancies, as they are known. Essentially, in France, for example, again, looking back, again, I know that I'm so grateful for all the privileges that I received from, especially the people who funded our education. At the end of our first semester, SciencesPo institution funded all our students at MPA cohort to go to South Africa to do research in, basically, there were different topics which were randomly drawn. I studied with my group mates urban, as they're formally known, informal settlements. They're also known colloquially as slums. So we studied informal settlements, a very bad legacy of apartheid system, of the system of racial discrimination and essentially slavery in South Africa. So it was a very eye-opening experience. And then Lee Kuan Yew School also gave an opportunity to do capstone consultancy research in terms of dengue fever, studying it in Malaysia, in Penang state, essentially. So me and my group mates, we went to Penang. We did our best in terms of finding out information about what Penang was doing to contain essentially and manage the spread of dengue fever. So those were also quite formative experiences because you go to the ground, you talk to actual public officials, you talk to people, and people are very, very generous with their times. They clearly were in both South Africa and Malaysia. And this gives you a lot of unique perspectives and experiences. So yeah, we did travel a bit. Yeah,
can't be better than that, indeed. And actually, this we call it government study project, GSP, right? At your time, do you also call GSP?
Nope. So I was funded through Li Ka-shing Foundation.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So,
so yeah, Li Ka-shing Foundation was the prime source of my funding for
right.
education.
So for people who are not from LKY, so the school gave us this opportunity for the grad students, not only to theoretical to study at school, but also applying our knowledge and the skills into
Hmm.
providing public policy advisory work in other country to other
Wow.
government level. So this year we went to Vietnam.
Wow,
Yes.
that's great.
So this
That's really
continuous
great.
skill nowadays is really very, very helpful for us to see our real clients and to solve the real problems on the ground. That's really awesome.
That's fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah. So after Lee Kuan Yew School Public Policy, so
Hmm.
what happens then? Because I also saw like you stayed at the school to work as a research assistant.
That's right. Yeah. So after Lee Kuan Yew School, so I started applying in my second semester, and that's really the advice to everyone. So you should start the process very early. So I started in January of 2016 with my applications. So again, I was very interested to pursue a professional career in the areas of development with a keen focus on public health. So I applied in many different organizations from Southeast Asia to East Asia to parts of the African continent. Specifically, there were a few jobs available at Western African coast. There were some jobs available at East African coast as well. So I applied in different places along the way. I think I made 40 plus applications into different positions, awaiting some type of response, obviously. And that's a daunting experience that you really need to make tons of applications. So, and what happened is I took some classes, and in one of my classes on security in Asia Pacific, it was really a fun class because that was the only international affairs class, in a sense, that I took for credit. And it was a good experience. And at the end of it, I learned that one of the research institutions, essentially Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, were looking for research associates. And professors encouraged me to apply. My course mates encouraged me to apply. And I think many of us did. So we just tried our lucks. And I did as well. And then I got my interview. I think it helped that I was taking that course with a professor who was leading that research institution back then. So I was given an interview, and then I was offered a job position as a research assistant. So, and then I had this decision essentially. So I had very few offers, and this was the only offer which was related directly to research. And I decided to give it a go because it was another opportunity to extend my stay at the Lee Kuan Yew School, which is an amazing academic, intellectual environment. At the same time, I thought like that would be a good opportunity for me to explore the possibility of PhD application. Because if I really like this process of being a research assistant for established researchers, then essentially it means that, yeah, I might be good enough to continue into academia. If not, then it would be very low stake, in a sense, experience, still good on my CV, still good for my own intellectual development. But at the same time, I wouldn't kind of lose a year, as some people may say. So I decided to join as an RA, and it was really good. I really liked it because so I overall worked for 2 years. My contract was extended, so it was a 1 year long contract, and I learned a lot. So I was part of many teams which organized different academic events in terms of conferences, research conferences. I was part of a team which kind of basically edited some publications for like research articles or books, edited volumes. And I had an amazing mentor there, Alexander Korolev, who is originally from Russia. He's an international affairs and international relations professor now in Australia, at University of New South Wales, which is a very good institution of very high reputation in Australia. So he was a very good mentor in many things. And he also did some work on public health of China, as well as comparative politics and international relations. So it really kind of got my attention. Obviously, there were a lot other people who helped me to get established with what I did in terms of research. Sadly, most of them have left since then. I believe Selena Ho is now a professor at Lee Kuan Yew School, and she still continues. So she was also one of the research fellows there. It was an amazing environment. Other RAs, basically other postdocs, Rachel, Chingbo, Akshay, so everyone, Wang Tze. So it was a very good experience. So we helped each other. We talked a lot of research, and that kind of really transitioned me into PhD.
So while listening your decision making, so you were sure while you're still studying the master's degree at LKYSPP, you sure you want to continue your PhD? So
No.
that's the reason you applied
So
for
no,
research related.
yeah. I was really not sure in a sense because I wanted some ground experience in developing world. So I applied in many developing countries into different positions on essentially public health, but also other projects that were related to development, broadly defined. But since Lee Kuan Yew School's offer was the most enticing in terms of getting exposure to academia, and I didn't get other offers which were really good in terms of fieldwork experience, because I'm still not sure. For example, I remember I applied in different places, also in places which really needed a lot of effort in terms of development. For example, I remember making applications in Indonesia, in parts of Thailand, with United Nations organizations. And to be honest, looking back, I'm not really sure. If I were offered the position, I probably would have taken it because I was really into field work. I was really into going into the field and doing this, but I did not apply in any private institution. I did not apply in consultancies because I was sure that I didn't want to do private sector work. So I was really into either international organization development work or into research work, which would kind of capture that interest as well. So again, it was not very clear, but back in my mind, I always had an option that maybe one day I will pursue a PhD. Yeah.
Okay. What is your biggest, like, how to say, maybe it's the most, I know like there are a lot of things to talk about Singapore, but what is the most unforgettable experience by studying at LKYSPP and living in Singapore?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I really need to give it a think.
Really?
There were just, yeah, there were so many. It's just, and I think I'm very honest in terms of saying that there were really many experiences. And I can easily recall pretty much all names of the people who studied with me. It was so unforgettably ingrained into my mind forever. Same really applies to SciencesPo. In a sense that there were so many life forming experiences, especially coming from Uzbekistan, which really doesn't have much to offer the world, unfortunately, at least for now, in terms of higher education quality. Then going to Paris, kind of European kind of leadership positions in terms of education in many different areas, and then coming to Singapore and as a basically excellent institution. So it was a lot to catch up. It was at times very challenging. A lot of work was supposed to be done. It was sometimes obviously very frustrating. I know you kind of probably you know what I mean, because it really takes time to read a lot, to get ready, to prepare, and then you understand that you kind of lag behind because essentially your foundational education was not as good as you imagined it was. So in that regard, yeah, I'm grateful for many opportunities. I can't really recall, honestly. Maybe Universal Studios visit with my groupmates because my brother was around back then as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So after like studying and then you work as a research assistant in Singapore for 2 years, and then what happened?
So at the end of my first year, I was determined that I will do PhD. So that was a good, productive year. So at the end of my first year, I was very sure that, okay, yeah, I like research. I want to pursue research myself, and I want to join academia full time. So then obviously you need to start early on because applications are normally due by December of every year. So that calendar year, since my work was extended by May 2017, I was like, okay, so I want to apply, then I need to start getting ready now. So I started preparing for my GRE exams, graduate record examination, which is required across the United States of America and places in Canada. I also started communicating my professors who were ready to support me with their recommendation letters, and then essentially started devising my application documents. So by my second year, I already, early on, I made some applications. Applications normally start in September every calendar year. So essentially by December, I applied into multiple institutions that I believed were the best fit for me in terms of comparative politics with an area focus on post-Soviet Eurasia. And yeah, so it was a very lengthy process, which was kind of planned out. So second year was mostly around my work duties at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, and at the same time, my PhD applications. Yeah.
I realize you are very disciplined, very early planning. People
Oh
who clearly
no,
know
believe
what they
me,
want to do at the
yeah,
beginning and doing
you are
everything.
clearly delayed in
Are
that
you
regard.
Central
But
Asian?
I am, I truly am. I still have problems with time management. My supervisor keeps
Yes, that's Central
coaching me.
Asian.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest problems of people from our region is that essentially we are involved in too many things at once. And that's a challenge because you need to kind of learn to say no to yourself, first of all, and then to some other commitments, because the more you take, the less you'll be contributing in each area. So I'm kind of still learning it. So life is the best tutor, as they say. So I think I'm getting marginally better year by year. Yeah.
All right. So how about those like work experience? You said you work in the OECD organizations, and also
Yeah.
you mentioned about Japan and in Russia, right?
All right. Yeah.
Yes. Could you please
So
briefly talk about this?
yeah. So that's another privilege of essentially being in such grand institutions. So in Paris, so Sciences Po has a very special relationship with international organizations as one of the good schools to go and to transition to international kind of public career. So what happened is I had a professor at Sciences Po who was at the same time consulting Scott, essentially OECD. So, and after one of our lectures, we went to a bar. So everyone ordered a drink. I ordered my cappuccino, and
Oh,
whilst we
that's
were talking,
great. You go to
yeah,
a
and whilst we
bar.
were,
I like it.
yeah, waiters in France didn't really like me. They always made fun because I always ended up ordering coffee. And then we had this discussion, and then at the end of discussion, my professor was like, Hassan, what you're doing in summer? And at that time, so one of my friends was working as in Albanian public sector, and I was really interested to go and see Albania, a country which is working on its formal ascension into European Union, preparing all the documents. So I told him that, and he was like, why don't you try yourself at OECD? And OECD is an organization for economic cooperation and development located with headquarters in Paris. So it was a good institution, and there was a requirement of summer research or summer internship in any organization by our degree. So yeah, I made my application. I was given an interview. In my interview, so I was questioned about my interest. It was a public health project, but by the way, it was a health reform project in Kazakhstan. Because Kazakhstan is also one of the aspiring countries to join OECD. Right. Yeah, so this is how I ended up at OECD. In Japan, so what happened is one of the senior research fellows, Tomo Kikuchi sensei, who's now a professor in a highly reputed Korean university, in fact, Korea University. So he nominated me to go to Keio University in Japan for a month as a visiting research fellow on the project where he secured funding from Japan and Singapore. So it was essentially about Asian financial infrastructure, ASEAN plus three standing for China, South Korea, and Japan. So it was a month-long research fellowship there. And my last year, I spent the summer as a visiting researcher at Higher School of Economics, where people from the Center on European and Comprehensive International Studies Center were incredibly grateful, incredibly welcoming for myself, and I'm very grateful to them to essentially having hosted me.
So that one is in
those are my
Russia.
experiences.
That
was in Russia, the last
yes.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, Higher School of Economics in Moscow, where I spent my summer conducting my own research, which I'm interested in. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you see, like, so academic journey can be very enriching experience. Like you're traveling and working in different countries and
True.
exposing
Yeah.
different cultures. That's awesome.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Absolutely.
So now, how you ended up today, where you are now in America? You are like a third year, right? The PhD students.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm a third year PhD student. I'm interested in political economy broadly defined. So specifically, I'm still looking into area where I would like to conduct my dissertation. So United States of America gives this opportunity to first, in 2 years, you're expected to get a lot of courses, essentially to learn methods, mostly methods, how to do research, essentially, would be the theme of 2 years. At the end of your normally second year, some people do earlier, some people do a little later, you're required to take exams in your major declared field. So my first field is comparative politics. My second field is international relations. So I took my exams, I passed them. And then on my third year, so everyone who progresses through exams, they're then required to take a special class that kind of teaches you how to write your prospectus. Prospectus is really your kind of work plan for dissertation. So now I'm working on my prospectus, on my dissertation idea. I have an amazing supervisor, Professor Yoshiko Herrera. She's a very established scholar studying Russia, constructive political economy. Then on my committee, I also have another amazing scholar, Rihil Bahavnani, who is a political economist with background from World Bank, IMF, and also in academia. So he has his own angle at looking into different things of mostly political inequality, but very different things. So his regional expertise is mostly from South Asia, but he really, just like Yoshiko, works with different projects all around the world. So I have 2 people in my committee now. I intend to keep adding a bit more because you're required to have 4 people in your committee. And hopefully I'll defend my prospectus successfully in my second semester. And then I will do field research next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be 4, so overall 4 years of PhD?
No. So you'll be amazed to learn how long it takes. So normally it's 6 years for comparative politics students. So 6 years is a normal graduation kind of term limit for most comparative politics people. But because of the pandemic now, it will likely be 7 years for many. Not for everyone, but likely 6 to 7 years because of the pandemic, because pandemics really disrupted all research. Or most research which were conducted with human subjects, as we say, and on field. And our department extended funding by 1 more year to give an opportunity, because job market is incredibly challenging and tough this year and second year from this year on. So until 2021, 2022, and I think reverberations will be felt along the way. Job market isn't good in academia for people who want to stay and work as professors, essentially. So it will be 6 to 7 years. So it will be more than 1, 2 more years.
You must have a very incredible resilience and a patience to go through all these years. And also thanks to your family support, right? Who can support you all these years.
Having family support, really supportive parents, supportive brother, supportive relatives, supportive in-laws, and obviously friends here, this really, really helped. And obviously having supportive academic supervisors are also very essential. So thankfully I have that environment around me. And it's also actually incredibly good that in some programs you can explore your interest, your capacity, build up your capacity, learn how to conduct research and do certain things, because the end product is meant to be of good quality.
Good. Okay. So what is the career perspective after PhD? Do you want to go to the university to be a professor, or?
Do you mean personally for me or in general?
Okay. Okay. I also know there's other career opportunity like going to the international organizations, right? So they have very high demand for PhD students. Yes. But
so if it's personally, my personal interest is to pursue academic career, which means again to apply for assistant professor positions. So that's my primary area of interest. But many people pursue after PhD their careers in public institutions, in government, essentially, in areas where research is appreciated and required. For example, banks, often central banks, but not only, private banks included, and some people go and join private sector as well. So careers can be quite diverse, but the requirement ultimately would be around research. Yeah.
Okay. So since you're already on your third year, you mentioned like on the third year, you will have a brief like idea for your thesis, even though it is not complete yet. But is it possible for you to share your idea? What is that about?
Yeah, so idea would be essentially inspired by some amazing works by Acemoglu, Robinson, Johnson, this trio, and then Acemoglu and Robinson, the duo who introduced a lot of very important ideas in terms of institutional reasons behind economic prosperity. Okay. So essentially the story is that some countries are rich because they have good political institutions, and some countries are not rich because they have, unfortunately, bad political institutions that need development and reforms. So my interest is along those lines, basically how to improve institutions and how to research institutions so to create environment conducive to economic development. And I think my area of research would be along this line, institutional causes of economic prosperity. And my country would be Uzbekistan. So I will be conducting my field work, and I will be researching my home country, which is Uzbekistan. Yeah.
That's awesome. While you were doing, when you're going to do your field work in Uzbekistan, is that going to be like in the university in Uzbekistan to do this field work, or you're going to work with the government, or how this field work is conducted?
That's a good question. So essentially, the most important thing for researchers essentially is the requirement to be independent, autonomous, and at the same time, you should not be involved in conflict of interest situations. So essentially, for example, I cannot get paid position with an organization or government which I'm studying. So I'm now cooperating as a research associate at the Ministry of Finance in Uzbekistan. It's a non-paid position. So we have this research cooperation being established, and I hope that would set up the stage for me to go into Uzbekistan and collect data, interview people, and then analyze data at the end of the day. I might or might not be involved in some other organization, but I will not have paid formal role essentially. So the process would be go to Uzbekistan, find a place to stay. Again, gladly, I have my own home, so my parents' home, where I can stay.
In Tashkent?
I'll be in Tashkent, okay. And then I'll be conducting research in different areas of Uzbekistan, mostly like looking into archives, maybe visiting Moscow when necessary for archives, and then collecting original data from the field, primary data as it's known. And then after a year, maybe or so, I'll get back to America and then write up my dissertation and by analyzing data. Yeah.
When you write your dissertation, and then you're gonna publish and then go to the university, like academia in terms of a professor. Yes. Yeah,
and then you do your dissertation essentially, and the idea is that academia really has one rule: publish or perish. So essentially, you need to publish a lot of good journal articles, and also ideally a book or two in comparative politics field. And then essentially at the end of my graduation, I'll be like at 6 years, say, I'll be job hunting for assistant professor positions. Yeah.
All right. So Khasan, personally for me, your research idea is quite interesting in two ways. First of all, you mentioned about like sometimes people consider rich countries are rich because they have better institutions. Because in Central Asia, the Caucasus, or in other parts of the world, maybe majority people, they consider, oh, the country is rich because they have natural resources. That's why it's rich. Like they take it for granted. They don't really necessarily dig into these institutions, dig into this public policy, the system issues, right? So this one, I really look forward to your research. And on the other hand, maybe some people like who are not from Central Asia, we know that Uzbekistan has been starting this progressive reform since 2016.
That's right, yeah.
My personal opinion, I'm sorry, I might be wrong, whatever, but it's really like being a neighboring country like a Kyrgyzstan, right? So Uzbekistan before 2016 is like old Uzbekistan, and after this is new Uzbekistan.
That's right, yeah.
Being this double landlocked country, which means like you need to cross like two countries in order to access the sea.
Yeah.
Uzbekistan has already very limited restricted geographic restrictions. However, thanks to this institution, thanks to the reforms, and thanks to people like you, Khasan, like who's really intelligent and the talents who are learning a lot from abroad, and then still like keeping in mind like they want to serve their people and they want to serve their country. So that's fabulous. I do believe there's a great potential for Uzbekistan, and also I hope, of course, for Central Asia and the Caucasus in general.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, so I agree with everything you've said, and a lot of potential from around Uzbekistanis, young and old, to contribute. And increasingly, more and more people are mobilized and given opportunities to contribute into their own country's development. Obviously, I'm at a very early stage of my career, so obviously I haven't done anything to gain any, basically anything to claim that I have contributed to development. But the idea is essentially going forward, if everyone does what they want to do, their own bit, and it doesn't really matter what you do, right? You might be in education, in healthcare, in business, in construction. You can be essentially doing anything, essentially, whatever you can imagine of in any imagined area. So as long as opportunities are given to people to flourish in their own chosen paths, I think ultimately this overall synergy would be good for the country. And you're right, like 2016 is like this natural experiment intervention. So regime change happens in terms of the old president passing away and the new one coming in, and a lot of reforms were launched. So I would say those are now two different countries in a sense. So Uzbekistan pre-2016 and Uzbekistan post-2016 are two very different countries. There's a lot of things that were already done. Uzbekistan was recognized as one of the most promising countries in 2019 by The Economist. So to be very precise, for exactly ending, as they said, human slavery. So the extension and expansion of like basic civil liberties, together with some very necessary and needed, much needed political and economic reforms, I think already produced some good inertia to continue development. So there's a lot of positive energy. And I think there's a lot of work to be done in future. I think government is doing a lot of very interesting things. A lot of young people are involved. A lot of people with foreign education are involved. So let's see and observe what happens. But thus far, we can really say that these two periods are very different, pre-2016 and post-2016. Yeah.
Yes. What is your vision for Uzbekistan 2030?
Oh, my vision for Uzbekistan 2030 would be...
when you graduate from PhD program.
Yeah. Thankfully, you're right.
Yeah.
By then I will be hopefully
I really
done
hope
with,
you can graduate.
I hope to, yeah, because at some point you want to make more than your stipend. So I think, so 2030, what I want to see, obviously we don't know what will happen. Science of prediction is the worst one, as they say. But essentially, what I want to see in 2030 is a much more democratic country with very strong rule of law, with very strong civil liberties, with very strong enfranchisement of people who can vote and their votes would be counted. Because as we now know from the academia, from research, from a lot of great research, that many economic problems have political origins. So, and this is exactly why even in countries which are very unique, like Uzbekistan, I believe one of the only two double landlocked countries in the world, or in general for landlocked countries. So geography is not the destiny. So it's not deterministic. If your geography is challenging, it doesn't mean that you cannot develop. As long as you invest into your institutions, political and economic, so one cannot work without another. So both should go hand in hand. Then hopefully in 2030, we'll see happier, richer, more democratic Uzbekistan with very strong rule of law. Yeah.
That's a great ending for today's talk. Thank you so much, Khasan. So today,
thank you.
Yeah, on behalf of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, Central Asia and the Caucasus Alumni Charter, I had such a privilege to have you here. You are our first representative from Uzbekistan to share your study and working journey. And it also give us a very good opportunity for Central Asian neighbors, the Caucasus, and the outside audience about Uzbekistan and what we can look forward to, right? So I believe
Thank
this
you.
talk
Yeah,
will
thank
be
you very much.
recorded. This talk will be recorded and will continue circulating among our alumni, students, and the general public audience. There are already actually many alumni from Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and even the United States saying hi to Khasan. And there's
Hi to everyone. Yeah.
There's a username of like Alman KG from the Kyrgyzstan said, Khasan, bro, you rock. Okay.
Oh,
so
wow.
one of your
Thank you.
admiring fans. But you don't use the Instagram, so people, whoever like interested in continuing the talk with Khasan, you can definitely find him at LinkedIn. And thank you so much for this effort, for such
Thank
a fruitful talk.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It was such a privilege.